Well, GB News can exclusively reveal that multiple lifeboats have been called out to help with the chaotic scenes in the English Channel. That's as more than 500 small boat migrants attempt to cross the UK today. Every French border patrol vessel in the region, along with a number of French lifeboats, are currently escorting multiple migrant dinghies towards Britain. If those currently in the Channel make it to UK waters, it will take the number of migrants who have made the illegal crossing so far this year beyond that 25,000 number. Well, joining me to talk about this is GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Mark, that big number, 25,000, is rapidly approaching us.
Well, there's no doubt it's a grim milestone, and we can confirm to you now that more than 25,000 small boat migrants have crossed the English Channel since the beginning of the year. 600 plus have crossed today alone, all 600 having reached UK waters, and all have been taken to Dover Harbour. The figure is somewhere in the region of 620 odd so far today, and it may continue to grow because as we speak, more small boats have been spotted in French waters. They are under escort by French patrol boats as they make their way towards UK waters. So if they make it, we could be at least 750 for today. Just adding to that, I mean, we're already at 25,150
Wow.
for the year so far. So it just shows you how quickly things can clock up. And you're looking there at images of effectively Border Force vessels and lifeboats stacking up at Dover Harbour just in the last couple of hours. It was such a surge of small boats this morning that Border Force was completely overwhelmed. They had 3 of their catamaran vessels that you can see here out in the middle of the English Channel, but they were completely overwhelmed and unable to cope, and they called on the services of multiple lifeboats. We had lifeboats from Ramsgate, from Walmar, from Dover, and from Dungeness. One of the Dover lifeboats coming in there with a rigid inflatable lifeboat. That boat there was carrying just by itself 74 migrants from one boat. Another Border Force vessel had 170 migrants on board. I've never really seen a Border Force vessel with numbers that high before. We believe that was 92 that were taken off one migrant boat, and it also had the load from another migrant boat of some 78 that took us to 170 on that one Border Force vessel, absolutely packed to the gunnels. And of course this comes just 2 days after our Prime Minister stood up shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump in Scotland and spoke of the work that his government was doing to smash the gangs, getting on top of the situation, he assured the US president when he was asked questions about the state of our migrant crisis in comparison to the efforts that he's been making over in the United States to curbing the influx of illegal migrants across the southern border. Well, whatever Sir Keir Starmer says about smashing the gangs, it's self-evident from these images, Alex, that we keep seeing every time the weather allows, that we're getting record numbers, and we are at record numbers, more than 50% ahead of where we were at this point last year. And we're only now getting into the busy summer months.
Yes, Mark, we're rapidly approaching that 36,800 number from last year. That would be the second highest number I think we have on record post 2022. How likely is it that we are going to see that continued trend of migrants coming over here and potentially even passing the numbers from last year?
Well, my prediction is within as little as 6 weeks, we will surpass the total for the whole of last year, because this week, just past 7 days on the run. The weather in the Channel wasn't horrendous, but it was not ideal at all. But still, we got crossings every single day. Small numbers, but they added up over 7 days to 1,000 migrants that crossed in those 7 days. Now, just today, we're looking at the potential for at least 700, probably more, that have crossed in a single day. So that's 1,700. You just, as I say, you see how quickly it ticks up. And if this, on 7 days of not the best of weather, can produce 1,000 plus what today has produced, 6 weeks of reasonably good weather in the Channel is more than enough to be able to get to the 36,800 total of last year. And then we've still got much of the really good summer months ahead, because it's August, it's September, and it's even October is often a very, very busy month in the Channel. So without a doubt, we're going to pass in short order last year's total. It's where we get to. Do we actually beat the all-time record of more than 46,000? There's certainly a potential for that, I would imagine, given the rate that these migrants are crossing the Channel.
GB News Home and Security Editor there, Mark White. Mark, thank you for filling us in on that latest there. I'm going to bring in our senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson, on this. Nigel, the numbers are not looking good for Keir Starmer. Of course, as Mark was saying that he was talking to Trump the other day and sort of celebrating almost that he was smashing the gangs. That doesn't really resonate with what the British public will be seeing today on those numbers.
No, it doesn't. I mean, we can see who's coming over at the moment, and Mark's absolutely right, obviously, that we're getting a higher number. We're going to beat records this year. There are 80 investigations going on into these smuggling gangs. They haven't come to fruition yet. Whether one could have expected them to in a year, or whether we'll see a whole load of them coming next year. The French have disrupted about 700 crossings themselves, so these figures could be worse had the French not acted. I think we have to come down to the idea that we are not going to stop the boats in the short term.
Yes,
this is a long-term problem. It's got to be sorted out long-term and internationally.
Do you think that deal struck with Macron is going to make the difference? Because I think one of the things that I think back to was the Rwanda plan, despite all its flaws, which there were very many. It seemed to have an effect, or at least was reported that it had an effect then, where migrants weren't thinking about crossing the Channel until they saw how the election played out. It doesn't seem that this deal with Macron, this one in, one out, or whatever the number is, has had any impact so far.
It hasn't started yet. So when it starts, we'll see. I mean, you're not going to affect the numbers hugely. You're talking about 50 or 60 people probably. So it won't be huge numbers. What you will get, though, is people with no right to be in this country won't come to this country. We will take our share of people who would like to get asylum had they crossed the Channel.